Hello everyone, it's Leo, and today we are going to talk about episode 41 from Healing Good Precure. A big episode, and I'm going to try to divide my impressions in two parts because I feel very differently about this episode. So let's talk about the first part, King Guairu's attack and the first attack in the cures. So we start this episode with Shindoine remembering her birth and how she arrived in the Byogen kingdom, and when she saw King Byogen for the first time, she instantly fell in love. Is Shindoine a furry? Anyways, she was crying because she was sad that her loved one was defeated, but now she looked and she saw that something was happening. On the other side, we saw the Cures fighting in Sokoyaka City. We could see that they were each fighting a Mega Byogen, and they were able to defeat each of them very easily with their individual powers. And then they got together to go to the Giga Byogen because Lottie was still feeling sick, so something was happening. At the same time, we had King Guairu creating his palace. I loved this scene so much. King Guairu is so stupid. And then Daruizen came to him and said and told him what Shindoine was doing. And then he was like, oh my god, isn't she gonna accept me as king or whatever? I don't exactly remember. And then he went back, and then Daruizen just looked at him and thought, well, he became king, but his brain did not evolve. The shade, girl, the shade. So the girls start fighting against the Giga Byogen and King Guairu, but at the same time, the generals appear to help. So we see like Cure Grace fighting against Daruizen. We see the other two, Cure Sparkle and Fontaine, fighting against King Guairu. I loved this scene. This was the only good scene of this whole scene. Fontaine being able to kick him, but then the other girls, but then Shindoine jumped into the fight, started fighting against Cure Fontaine, and King Guairu against Cure Sparkle, and Cure Earth against the Giga Byogen. And honestly, girl, this was a big disaster. I have absolutely no idea why they are making the Healing Good girls so weak. They are basically useless. They can't do anything. And this is so frustrating. It's been happening for the past few episodes. And they are supposed to be stronger now. Way stronger, and they are useless. Each of them was fighting a general and they couldn't stand it. Cure Earth was fighting against the Giga Byogen by herself. She couldn't stand it. And they de-transformed. They got beaten so badly in like 2 seconds of a fight, and they got de-transformed. Like, why? I really disliked this. This fight was horrible, and it was pointless in terms of showing the Cures and showing their powers. Extremely pointless. I really disliked this part, and it just goes to show that, I don't know, it seems that writers, they don't really care about the Cures in Healing Good. The Cure portion of Healing Good, like, let's just do whatever, and they go with it. There isn't really a logic or something behind it when it comes to continuation. Like, they got a power-up. They didn't even try to use the power-up in the fight. Like, I'm pretty sure they're going to use the power-up in the last fight. Like, they're going to fight with their power-ups. Why not do this in this fight as well? Like, they were losing. They could try something different. But no, they got beaten up so easily. I'm so angry. I'm still angry at this. So King Guairu was going to defeat them, but then Shindoine brought something. Finally, Shindoine did something. So we had King Byogen coming back, getting Guairu, and absorbing Guairu. And look, this was dumb. This was very dumb. No matter the plan that we're going to talk about a little later, no matter the plan, this was dumb. The girls were de-transformed. King Guairu would destroy them. There would be no Cures anymore, but King Byogen had to stop it. This was dumb. But I actually thought that in this scene, we were going to have the healing animals arriving. We know that the healing animals are coming at some point, and I thought they were going to arrive in this scene. Unfortunately, they didn't. So this was basically a Shindoine plan. Shindoine helped King Byogen to come back and absorb King Guairu. I was very happy with this, honestly, because Shindoine so far didn't do anything. Unlike the others that did something different, like the Louisiana infected Cure Grace, Guaido became King Guaido. They tried different plans. The only thing she did, like by herself, was infect herself, and then she became more powerful. And King Byogen noticed that and made the other two do it too. But she hasn't been doing much apart from that. And then now in this episode, she had a plan to help King Byogen, and it worked, girl. King Byogen came back. And visually, King Byogen is very interesting. He really looks like a healing animal. Talk more about that later. He has big hair, big tail. He's very furry, and he has this cape. He also looks like a horse at the same time. I'm not really sure what he is supposed to be. So he was talking about his own plan of infecting the earth and becoming stronger with that, but he decided not to follow this plan anymore and absorb King Guaido, absorb his minion that became stronger so he could evolve faster. That's what he did in this episode. And then he powered up the Giga Byogen again, so the Cures transformed again to fight against the Giga Byogen. Like, there wasn't a King Byogen right there looking at them. No, let's forget about that. Let's focus on the Giga Byogen. Weird. They could defeat the Giga Byogen very easily. They used the element, but the visuals didn't really match the elements. They were like, some of them, like Earth was using air, and it was purple here. Usually the air is transparent when she uses the air element, the air bottle. And then Sparkle was using the fire bottle. It was thunder. Like, very lazy. This fight was everything that was wrong with this episode. Like, the Cure part of this episode was a disaster. I really hated it. But after this, the episode shifts a little bit and we see the girls remembering. They have a life outside of it. And everyone in Sukayaka City saw the attacks and they were all hiding. They were all trying to protect themselves. And they were all worried with the girls. So here comes the great part of this episode. We see each of the girls going back to their homes and being welcomed by their family members who were very worried about them. And I thought that in this moment, we were going to see the parents, noticing that they are the Cures. But that didn't happen. Still, it was very sweet. Every family reacted differently. And it had a lot to do with their personalities and how they raise their kids and everything. I really loved those scenes. The three of them felt amazing. And here's where I think Healing Good excels. It's very bad in the Cure part, but it's very good in the human part. Very good in the human part. I really loved this scene. It was incredible. And in Nodoka's scene, her mom, held her very tightly and Rabirin went flying. I was like, Rabirin, no! This scene was awesome. Very cute. Unfortunately, Asumi was just there. She doesn't have a family to go back to. Very sad. And this is another problem of Healing Good. Like, Asumi is just there for the most part. Unfortunately, that's the character they created, but this Nodoka scene also felt very nice and it really touched my heart. It was very, very beautiful to see their families welcoming them again. So then we have King Byogen. King Byogen went back to the kingdom and he said that he has a plan. That's why he didn't attack the Cures. He wants to use the Cures as bait, but he didn't explain for what. So my guess is that he wants Teachinu. He wants to destroy her because she's the one who destroyed him in the first time. In the second time too, she's always there to stop his plans. And he wants to destroy her. Not really the Cures. I think that he has this trauma against her. And so I feel like that is why he didn't want King Guaido to destroy the Cures in this episode. But still, it would make sense nonetheless, because if he started infecting the earth, someone would have to come and save it. And so the Healing Garden generals would have to come to Earth anyways, and that would happen to Teachinu. So why not? I didn't understand this. But anyways. Also, King Byogen, he has this beautiful tail, long tail. I loved this. You guys know how much I love big hair and a big tail like this. Girl, amazing. You rock, King Byogen. But King Byogen wanted to absorb Daruizen. And he wanted Daruizen to infect himself with mega parts and be absorbed by King Byogen, for King Byogen to become even stronger than he is now. And Daruizen ran away because he didn't want to become part of King Byogen. If he did become part, King Byogen even says, you're going to lose consciousness. And I wonder why King Byogen didn't want to absorb Shindo-ine. I think that he still wants Shindo-ine around because Shindo-ine is the most loyal to him, and so she will help him in his plans, whatever he wants to do. And he knows that Guairu and Daruizen are not. They're their own henchmen, so they won't really care about King Byogen's plans. So he attacked Daruizen, and Daruizen got very weak. So at this moment, Daruizen comes back to Sukoyaka City, and he meets Nodoka. Nodoka quickly transforms into Cure Grace, and then the shocking revelation, the shocking moment of this episode starts. My jaw dropped, honestly. This week, we talked about the fact that Daruizen was going to ask Nodoka for help because King Byogen was attacking him, and Nodoka would not accept. But we didn't know details. We didn't know his terms. And in this episode, we learned his terms. Girl, Daruizen, you are insane. So what he asked Nodoka was that he would infect her again. He would go back to her body, inside her body, and then he would hide there from King Byogen. King Byogen would not be able to find him there. When he's there, he's going to recover. He's going to become healthy again, and then he would come out after he is healthy. So this was the help he asked Nodoka. This scene was very powerful, and it was very hard to watch because I think that Daruizen's voice actor did a stellar job in this scene. It was painful. It was very, very hard to watch, honestly. And then obviously Grace did not accept this and she ran away. Interesting scene. When she ran away, we could see the background. It's more or less the same background when we have that scene in the opening that she goes through Daruizen. She goes through Daruizen in that scene. I think that this is more or less a callback to that, and we're gonna see that at some point in Healing Good. So she doesn't accept it, and then the episode ends right there. So let's talk about this scene. I think I have some things to say about it. Let's do this. First thing is the fact that he is asking for help, but it's not like the help he is asking for is something that would hurt Nodoka, because we know what happens when a Byogen infects a person. The person becomes sick, and Nodoka, she stayed sick for a long part of her life. That defines a lot of things about her. And obviously she does not want to go back to that. That is obvious. No one wants to. No matter how good you are, no matter how kind you are to other people, no matter how much you're willing to try and help other people, that is not something that you want to do. And it's very understandable that Nodoka does not accept Daruizen's wish. But at the same time, I feel like this creates a little problem, honestly. And I think that this problem is Daruizen, this is going to be a big thing in the next episode. We saw in the preview, Nodoka's gonna think about it, and she's going to be, oh my God, should I help him? Should I do it or not? But this is something that shouldn't even be questioned. This is not something that Nodoka herself should be worried about. Like, this isn't something that you need to think to decide. Or if you decide for the no part, which she did, this shouldn't create an internal conflict inside you. Like, I'm not trying to help anyone. And it's not that. It is not that. And it's very strange that the narrative of Healing Good is trying to paint it as this, you know? I find it very weird. And at the end of the episode, Daruizen told her, you told me that I don't care about anyone else, I just care about myself. You are the same as me. This makes absolutely no sense in terms of narrative from Healing Good. I do understand how Daruizen would feel like that towards Nodoka, but I really hope that this doesn't play a big part, because Nodoka is someone who is always willing to try and help other people, and I hope she notices that. And in the next episode, we know that Rabirin is going to stay by her side, but she is still going to be very shocked towards what happened. And I feel this is very weird, honestly. Like, this isn't supposed to be something to cause a dilemma. It's the answer is very clear. And this isn't supposed to cause a dilemma, you know? And sometimes I feel like the writers, they want Nodoka to suffer. You know, they want to make her suffer. And they make those absurd situations for Nodoka. And they want to see that in her. You know, I find this very weird. Nonetheless, I feel like the last scene was very good because it was tense. I couldn't breathe when I was watching it. And I love scenes like that. You know, I was on the edge of my seat. I couldn't say a word. I was speechless. I was shocked. And I liked it. So let's see how they're going to develop this dilemma from Nodoka in the next episode. So overall, episode 41, very bad, very good. The first half was awful. The second half was very good. Still think that the cure portion was a disaster. And I'm pretty sure it's not going to be in the last fight. I think they're going to bring it in the last fight. And I'm very excited for that. So I hope that it changes in the last fight. Anyways, what was your thought on episode 41? What are your expectations for episode 42? Girl, I am so shocked and I cannot wait for next week. Everybody, thank you so much for watching, and I want to take this time to thank all of the members of the Magical Cinnamon channel. If you are a member, thank you so much. I really appreciate all the support. I really appreciate that you stand by me and that you believe in Magical Cinnamon. And if you've watched up until now, thank you so much as well. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time. Bye bye.